Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Clutch Crew Sports. This is Eric, the ranting co host here, coming back at you with another 2022 NFL season preview. Today, we're going to be looking at the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, as people like to call them. This is also my fiance Susan's favorite team, so I'm happy to bring this to you guys. So, with that being said, let's just go ahead and get right into it here. Looking at the moves that were made by the Dallas Cowboys, I didn't like their offseason that much compared to a lot of the other teams that I've been doing these previews for. I think a big reason for that was just because they've been having salary cap problems. So it wasn't like they had a ton of money to work with or anything. They lost Amari Cooper. They traded him to the Browns. I don't really think they had a choice. They had to get rid of him. I think if the Browns hadn't traded for him, they were just going to outright release him. So even though they only got like a fifth round draft pick for him, I guess at least they got something. I would have liked to see him get a little more than that, but they had to move on from him because of the salary cap. So the Browns picked him up. And then there was a very interesting situation with Randy Gregory leaving the team. That was a bit of a surprise. He had initially signed with Dallas, but then I guess there was something he didn't like, or I guess he hadn't signed, but he was agreeing to sign with Dallas to re-sign there. And then there was something that came up that he didn't like in the contract, and Denver was willing to give him what he wanted. So he went to the Broncos. And if you look up who they picked up instead, they've replaced Randy Gregory with Dante Fowler, which is definitely going to be a downgrade in my opinion. I mean, as a Jaguars fan, we had Dante Fowler on our team for a few seasons. And it's not that he's a bad player or anything. I just don't think he's that great, though. And he's also known for getting too aggressive and, whether it be jumping off sides or doing late hits out of bounds, he constantly gets penalized, which is a problem. But he is also a good pass rusher. So, I don't hate the move, but I don't love the move. And then looking at their first round draft pick here, Tyler Smith, the offensive lineman out of Tulsa. I've been hearing good things about him so far in training camp. It's looking like he's going to start at left guard. The Cowboys did lose some interior offensive linemen as well, so good that they addressed that in the draft. That was smart. Jerry Jones tends to be known for going for the flashy pick over the solid pick, but I think he made the right choice here. He does have durability concerns, which could be a problem long term, but I think for now he's fine. So I think he'll be good for that offensive line, and maybe Dallas will be able to get that run game going again. But I mainly wanted to spend more time on the storylines here for Dallas. They've got a lot going on this year. The first is going to be, do the Cowboys have wide receiver problems? The Cowboys have always been known for having great weapons. Jerry Jones loves to spend on the offense more than the defense, and they've normally had loaded wide receiver rooms. Whether that's been in more recent memory like Des Bryant or with Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb paired together. But now Amari Cooper's gone, and they also lost Cedric Wilson, and Michael Gallup re-signed, but he's injured and I'm not sure how long he's expected to miss. I'm pretty sure for sure week 1 he's going to be out. He's on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list right now. So I don't know how long he's going to be out, but he's at least going to miss the first few weeks. So, that really only leaves CeeDee Lamb as the best option. They do have Dalton Schultz at tight end who's available. They've got Zeke and Tony Pollard at running back. So they do have other good players. It's just in terms of the wide receiver room though, they are very thin right now. So that's going to be a really big concern, I think, for Dallas going forward into the season. Secondly, I have here, does Dak Prescott have what it takes? And what I mean by that is, he's known for putting up good numbers in the regular season. He's a good quarterback, and a lot of times he looks like a top 10 quarterback. But he's had struggles in the playoffs. I've talked about that in a previous video when I did the Ravens preview with Lamar Jackson. Dak hasn't struggled as bad as Lamar. Dak has had some good playoff games, but overall he hasn't been able to get it done when it's counted. His biggest problem in the playoffs, I think, has been just getting off to slow starts. Like a lot of times it'll seem like towards the end of the game, it's like he's finally getting in his groove, but a lot of times it's too late by that point if they get down. They almost had that comeback against San Francisco. He had that really boneheaded play at the end, but they didn't have a lot of time there at the end anyway. It was going to be almost impossible to come back. It would have been a miracle if he had pulled that off, but really his best playoff game was the 2016 one against the Packers. That was just more so that the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. But in his other 3 playoff games, he really hasn't been that spectacular. And, the Cowboys are projected to make the playoffs. So I worry about their wide receiver room right now, but I think they still have enough to get it done. I do think the Cowboys will make the playoffs. But with that being said, if the Cowboys get there, is Dak Prescott going to be able to elevate his game and get the Cowboys to that next level and get them to a conference championship game or even a Super Bowl? And then finally, their third storyline here, I've got a picture of Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones next to each other. And that's just going to be, is Mike McCarthy in danger? Is he in danger of getting fired? We've talked about this in the podcast in a Ask Twitter episode that we did a couple weeks ago. And we were talking about coaches that we feel are likely to get fired. And Zach brought up Mike McCarthy because of Jerry Jones, being in love with Sean Payton and that he's more interested in him than he is Mike McCarthy. And will Mike McCarthy get let go? And I can definitely see that as a real possibility. I was kind of researching it before I recorded this, and I didn't see anything that's showing like that he's in immediate danger. And Jerry Jones has said, Mike McCarthy's the guy. But of course, right before the season starts, you're not going to show doubt in your head coach, because that would be a really terrible look. So of course he's not going to come out right now and be like, oh yeah, Mike McCarthy better win some games early on or he's in trouble or something. So that's going to be an interesting situation to see going forward. I mean, obviously the rumors about Jerry Jones being in love with Sean Payton and wanting him to come in and be coach, those rumors have been out there. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects the team going forward. So definitely a lot of storylines going on with the Dallas Cowboys, but let's take a look at their schedule here. So I think the Cowboys have a pretty favorable schedule overall. It starts off really... I thought they were going like this. This schedule, this kind of confused me here, but it's going to be a rough start. I mean, they've got the Bucs and the Bengals in the first couple games. And they got the Rams week 5. So I could see the Cowboys potentially getting off to a bit of a slow start here. But, they are paired up with the AFC South, which is good for them. I mean, those, could all be winnable games. The AFC South is definitely, one of the weaker divisions in football. And addition to the Cowboys, they're in the NFC East, which is also one of the weakest divisions in football. So, getting the Giants twice, the Commanders twice, that's good for them. And then they also have the NFC North. The Lions, I think, are, a rebounding team right now. I just don't think they're quite ready yet. The Bears are clearly in a rebuild mode. So they definitely have plenty of winnable games here. So even though there is some doubt with the Cowboys, I still feel pretty good about their playoff chances. I'm going to list their key matchup here is going to be this Week 6 game against the Eagles. This is going to be in Sunday night prime time. Like I said, their first 5 games are overall pretty rough. They're definitely going to need to, besides the Giants and Commanders here, between the Bucs, Bengals, and Rams, they're definitely going to need to win at least one of those games, I think. But if they go into this Week 6 game against the Eagles and they're say they're 2-3 or something, they're really going to need to win that game. That's going to be a very critical game for them. You don't want to let a division rival, get a lead on you and pull away, because I did preview the Philadelphia Eagles as well, and I think overall I like their roster better than the Cowboys. I think the biggest advantage that the Cowboys have over the Eagles, though, is going to be the quarterback position. I do think Dak Prescott is better than Jalen Hurts, so I like that for them. But I think the Eagles wide receiver core is better right now. Um, I think a lot of their defensive player positions are better. I guess I give the Cowboys the edge in the running game. Tight ends are probably equal. I mean, these teams have different strengths and weaknesses versus each other, so that their two matchups against the Eagles are going to be very interesting. So looking at the Vegas odds and everything down here, in 2021, the Cowboys were projected to win 9.5 games, and they went pretty well over that with 12. The Cowboys definitely overachieved in the regular season last year. I don't think many people saw that coming. I think winning the division was, I think a lot of people predicted that, but I don't think a lot of people predicted Dallas to get 12 games, which was pretty good. They've been lowered this year from their actual wins. And I guess in terms of their projected wins, they've been raised a game, but compared to where they finished last year, it is still lowered. So for 2022, their projected win total is 10.5. And for my prediction, I've been pretty torn on this one because I feel like they're going to win right at 10 games. They could get 11. So that's why I'm pretty torn. But I do think I want to go the under here, just slightly though. You know, don't hate me, Cowboys fans. I'm not saying I think they're going to win like 7 games or anything like that. I do think they win 10 games, and I still think they can win the division, at least see a playoff spot. I mean, the NFC overall is way weaker than the AFC, so that's another advantage the Cowboys will have going into the season. But like I said, if Dallas makes the playoffs, what I really want to see from them is Dak Prescott going to be able to elevate his game and get the Cowboys to the next level? I mean, he's 1-3 in his playoff appearances, which is not good. And even the one game they did win, they only won by 2 points. They barely squeaked out the win that they did get. You know, it's definitely put up or shut up time for Dak Prescott. He's had, plenty of time. He's been the starter for like 6, 7 seasons now, and hasn't been able to get the Cowboys to that conference championship game that has eluded the Cowboys for so long. So, and especially, for my fiance Susan's sake, like, please do better than the first round of the playoffs this year, please. Yeah. I've said this before in like old episodes when I ranted, happy wife, happy life. So when you're not winning, my fiance is not happy. So, get it together. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap this preview up. Let me know down in the comments below if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Give me your takes on the Cowboys this year and how you think they're going to do. We're getting pretty close to finishing these team previews. There's only a few left. There's not very many. So we're getting pretty close to having all 32 of them done. So most likely, if your favorite team isn't the Cowboys, we've probably reviewed them. You can go back and check it out. And if not, if your team hasn't been covered yet, we're going to be getting to it pretty soon. So, and then lastly, if you haven't subscribed to us yet, we'd be really grateful for that. Like I said, we're almost done with all 32 teams. Zach and Connor have been, previewing college football conferences. Like, we were previewing all the college teams. So we've been putting in a lot of work. So if you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, drop some comments, that stuff really helps us out, and we'd be grateful. So, all right, guys, that's going to end it. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.